You didn't lose your confidence, it was trained out of you. You didn't become indecisive. Your brain learned that being wrong was dangerous. You didn't get too sensitive. Your nervous system adapted to survive. And what you call weakness may actually be long-term neurological injury from constant criticism. Let's talk about what repeated verbal harm really does to a human mind. It starts subtly. You hesitate before speaking. You replay conversations hours later. You reread messages 5 times. You apologize before anyone accuses you. Small decisions feel exhausting. Simple feedback feels like an attack. And somewhere inside, a quiet belief forms. I'm probably wrong. But this didn't appear randomly. It was built, word by word. To understand why constant criticism changes a person, we need to look at what happens beneath the skin, inside the brain and the nervous system. Every time you're yelled at, mocked, or made to feel small, the brain treats it as a threat. Not an emotional inconvenience, but a biological danger. The amygdala, the brain's alarm center, switches on as if a predator has entered the room. Cortisol and adrenaline flood the body, preparing you to fight, run, or freeze. If this happens occasionally, the system resets. But when it happens day after day, the alarm never truly turns off.
The prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for focus, planning, and decision-making, begins to weaken under constant stress.
That is why people who live with verbal abuse often say, "I can't think clearly anymore." It's not a metaphor. The brain's executive functions are literally being suppressed.
At the same time, the hippocampus, the area that handles memory, struggles to store information properly.
Thoughts feel slippery. You forget what you are about to say mid-sentence. The mind is not failing. It is conserving energy in survival mode. Neuroscientists call this state hypervigilance.
The nervous system becomes like a smoke detector that goes off even when someone is just cooking dinner.
A raised eyebrow feels like a threat. A neutral comment sounds like an accusation.
Over time, the body learns a cruel lesson. Staying small feels safer than taking up space. This is how criticism rewires a personality without ever touching the skin.
And here's the most important truth. These changes are adaptive, not defective. Your brain did not betray you. It tried to protect you with the tools it had.
Understanding this biology is the first step to realizing that the problem was never your intelligence or your character. It was the environment that shaped them. People often imagine trauma as something dramatic, a car crash, a disaster, a single terrifying moment. But trauma can also arrive quietly, disguised as everyday conversation. When harsh words become routine, the nervous system stops reacting only to the present.
It begins to react to memory.
A tone of voice, a slammed door, even a familiar sigh can trigger the same surge of fear that once followed an insult. This is where the body takes over.
Some people go into fight. Their voice becomes sharp, defensive, ready to argue before they are even attacked.
Others choose flight, avoiding phone calls, meetings, relationships, anything that might expose them to more criticism. Many fall into freeze, staring at a simple task for hours, unable to start. And there is another response we rarely talk about. Fawn. Trying to please everyone, apologizing for existing, becoming smaller so the storm will pass. None of these reactions are choices. They are survival strategies learned in an unsafe emotional climate. That is why a person can look calm on the outside while their heart is racing. Why someone can hear a raised voice in another room and suddenly feel 10 years old again. Trauma doesn't live in the past. It lives in the nervous system's present. And the most painful part is the confusion. Survivors often blame themselves. Why am I so sensitive? Why can't I just move on? They don't realize their body is still guarding a wound that never had permission to heal. What feels like weakness is actually memory. Verbal abuse rarely looks like abuse at first. It often wears ordinary clothes: jokes, advice, concern, even love. The first form is degrading and labeling. You're so stupid. You never do anything right. Use your brain for once. When these sentences are repeated, they stop being opinions and become mirrors. Psychologists call this learned helplessness, a state where effort feels pointless because failure seems pre-written. The second form is sarcasm, disguised as humor. A partner laughs while exposing your insecurity at dinner. When you look hurt, they smile and say,
Relax, I'm just kidding.
but jokes that always aim at the same wound are not humor. They are weapons with a friendly handle. The third form is emotional invalidation.
You're too sensitive. Others have it worse. What's the big deal?
If your feelings are constantly dismissed, you learn to doubt your own reality. These three forms rarely appear alone. They weave together, creating an atmosphere where no punch is visible, yet every day leaves a bruise. Abuse does not need volume to be violent. Sometimes it only needs repetition. Slowly, almost without noticing, you begin to live smaller. You speak less in meetings. You rehearse simple sentences in your head before saying them out loud. You apologize before anyone has accused you of anything. These habits feel like personality traits, but most of them were not born with you. They were trained into you.
Chronic criticism reshapes behavior the way water reshapes stone.
Procrastination grows not from laziness, but from fear. Fear of doing it wrong. Fear of being exposed. Fear of hearing that familiar sigh of disappointment. Many survivors develop a quiet addiction to escape, scrolling for hours, drinking a little too much. These are not moral failures. They are attempts to borrow a few minutes of relief from a nervous system that never rests. Even the body changes. Shoulders tighten, voice softens, eye contact shortens. Some describe feeling like a guest in their own life, watching themselves from a distance. And then comes the cruelest shift: self-blame.
I've become weak. I'm just not as smart as others. I'm too sensitive for the real world.
But sensitivity was not the original problem. The environment was. The real self didn't disappear. It learned to hide. To understand how this damage looks in real life, let's step away from theory and meet three ordinary people. Maria, 34, customer service supervisor. Her manager corrected her in front of the team almost every day. Small mistakes were announced like public verdicts. She stopped sharing ideas, even good ones. At home, she sat in the car for minutes before going inside, trying to calm a heart that was still racing from a single meeting.
David, 41, husband and father. After 2 years, Maria began rewriting emails 10 times before sending them.
His partner called him useless whenever money was tight. The words were followed by laughter. I'm just being honest. David started avoiding conversations altogether. He nodded instead of speaking. He slowly forgot how confident he once sounded.
Lena, 20, college student.
Growing up, every grade below an A was a family emergency. After all we've sacrificed, this is what you give us. By sophomore year, she couldn't finish essays without shaking. Not because the work was hard, but because her mind expected punishment before she typed the first sentence. Different ages, different lives, yet the same invisible wound. None of them were born anxious, silent, or afraid to think. They learned those behaviors in environments where words were sharper than knives. From the outside, leaving seems simple. From the inside, it rarely is. Most survivors are not trapped by weakness. They're trapped by biology and hope. Psychologists call this trauma bonding. A confusing attachment formed when pain and brief moments of kindness come from the same person. After a cruel comment, there might be an apology. After days of silence, a sudden gesture of care. The nervous system learns to wait for those small rewards, the way a gambler waits for the next win. This is intermittent reinforcement, one of the strongest forms of conditioning. It's when rewards are unpredictable, which makes the behavior more persistent. Then there's guilt. What if I'm overreacting? What if they didn't mean it? Fear whispers that leaving will bring chaos, loneliness, or financial ruin. Hope whispers that tomorrow they might change. And between fear and hope, people remain still. Most people try to heal in the wrong order. They start with motivation, discipline, positive thinking.
But a nervous system that still feels unsafe cannot be talked into calmness.
It must be felt into safety first. Step 1. Bring the body back from emergency mode.
Inhale for 4 seconds. Exhale for 6.
These are biological reset buttons.
Step 2. Name what happened. Instead of I'm too sensitive, try I was verbally harmed. Language reorganizes experience. When the pain has a name, it stops pretending to be your identity. Step 3. Micro-boundaries. Healing doesn't begin with dramatic speeches.
It begins with tiny sentences. I'm not comfortable with that tone. Let's pause this conversation.
You practice them like a new muscle. Awkward at first, stronger with time.
Step 4. Rebuild evidence. Criticism erased your internal resume. Create a new one.
Write 3 things you handled well each day, no matter how small.
Step 5. Co-regulation. A safe nervous system is often borrowed before it becomes our own. Through a therapist, a friend, a support group, even a calm voice in a video. Humans heal in connection more than in isolation. None of these steps demand courage you don't have. They only ask for repetition.
Safety grows slowly, like a room warming after the window is finally closed.
Many people confuse boundaries with punishment. They are not walls built to hurt others, they are doors built to protect you. A boundary begins with a simple truth. You are allowed to decide what you will and will not tolerate.
Start small. I won't continue this conversation if the tone stays like this. That joke isn't okay with me.
Guilt will appear. It always does.
Guilt is often the echo of old training, not the voice of morality.
Imagine a version of you who no longer flinches at a raised voice, who can make a decision without apologizing for existing.
That future is not fantasy. It is what happens when the nervous system finally learns that the war has ended.
You were never broken. You were surviving an environment that wasn't built for your heart. If this felt personal, subscribe to Brainy Buddy Podcast, where we explain the psychology behind what you lived through.